That mid power band, clean, very predictable.
That's what torque feels like.
Yeah. That's torque?
Yeah.
So that's 110, 115, 120. Considering that we're halfway across the country picking this car up, I figured I would go on a bit of an apology tour. What better place to get blessings from than Bowling Green?
Blessings? Did you sneeze? You know what we do to you, right? Definitely not allowed at any LS test event.
I may be able to sneak in, but it was Bill who put the C5 Rotary Vet into quarantine long before that was popular. So he was ahead of the curve on that one. I wanted to stop by and apologize for what I'm about to do to this car.
Obviously, you couldn't sneak in last time. You're definitely not sneaking in with an orange car that we've already seen.
The four rotor is going to be much louder, much more aggressive, so
Yeah.
she's not going to go under the radar.
I don't know what to think about you, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah, you're excited. I'm excited. Cylinder rating of 103 decibels.
Look at her.
Oh. God, camera focus not on the windshield. Yes.
I feel like I'm seeing my 90 Day Fiance at the airport. I'm gonna park right behind it too.
Oh my God, that red is beautiful.
Nice.
This car's supposed to look like that one. That is beautiful.
I think it's the full same options.
Oh my
The interior
God.
looks the same.
Yeah, it's the Z51 package. That is a beautiful car. Wow. That front end's sick.
Yeah.
Wow. That looks like a LaFerrari or something like.
Yes.
We have one. But that.
But we don't have this.
No.
We don't even have this.
Yeah.
I have this.
Yeah, he took the other headlight. Wow, that's a nasty looking car.
Yeah.
What do you want to show me? What? No.
Yeah.
They just put that on there? The guys from Holly put this car's banned. They must have printed that up while we were at lunch.
Yep.
This is an amazing opportunity made possible by Holly. Obviously there's very few people here, skeleton crew. Here at NCM made it possible to feel what this car should feel like by driving this one. I'm very thankful and very fortunate. We're living in some crazy times. Please understand that I'm respecting the weirdness of the situation, but you know, if you're in the same boat I am, the chance to get to drive one of these this soon and to be able to know how this one handles is super important.
Hey, I'm Matt Busby. I'm the track operations manager here at NCM Motorsports Park. We're across the street from the National Corvette Museum and the Corvette Assembly Plant, and I think today we're going to drive a C8.
It feels so good to use the doors properly. Oh my God. There's an airbag in here.
It's a full car.
Yeah.
You have the key?
I'm able to get in the car. No key found.
So excited to come back. Look at him.
I'm getting that hyper smooth going on.
Put that thing in sport like Cardi B.
Where is sport?
No, it's right here.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Yeah, track. There we go.
So yeah.
Okay. Ooh. Oh yeah, this is a dual clutch trans. The shifts are just clean.
This sounds nice.
This track is fun. Oh, a little hot. Man, she still is capable, even when you get a little warm into it. I'm in love. He's right, those brakes work. That mid power band, clean, very predictable.
That's what torque feels like.
Yeah. That's torque?
Yeah.
So that's 110, 115, 120.
That was impressive. I like that
Yeah. Oop, that's red line. Hear the tires slipping. I'm like, okay, there's my limit. Oh my God, this car is a capable car. Brake in and you feel the car roll into it. Different.
It's the center of gravity must be really low. Like it's
Yeah.
just it's immediate turn in.
Yeah. Toyota let me do the new Supra.
Yeah.
And all the other journalists were doing their stand next to the parked cars, and their test driver was just sitting there like, hey, anybody wants to drive? He took me out a couple laps. I had 4.5 hours that day on the track. The Supra is an amazing car, but this has way more ability.
Yeah.
Way more. Kind of in the S's area. I don't know what the names on this track at all, but that area you could really feel. Okay, I'm starting to feel the limits of the front tires. Purposely coming in a little hot.
Sure.
But still way above.
I mean, it's pretty stiff, and so that probably helps with like turning and everything like that. But yeah, it surprised the hell out of me. Transmission's not bad either, is it?
Yeah. I was loving that. He pointed it out. I was like, the power in the mid band is amazing. He goes, that's called torque. I haven't experienced that. I was like,
it's a new sensation. Yeah.
Oh yes, that's true. What a fun car.
Right.
Like, okay, so my thing is, my brother loves his McLarens. He loves his R35 GTR. Those are very electronic vehicles. And the McLaren has like no body roll, like the way the center of gravity or the roll center and all that is all set up. It's a very flat car. I want the feeling of the car. It's very firm, but I do still love the feeling of the car rolling in and out, just that little bit, not a go-kart.
The compliance like helps you feel where you're at,
Yes.
where the chassis is at. It the flatter it is and the stiffer it is, like a race car, something like that, that's set up that stiff and everything. It's meant to be on a slick that gives a lot more feedback, right? So
that brake pedal, you were right. That is a unique experience.
it takes some getting used to, like the feeling and especially in modulation. It's different than like the C7 or like a previous car.
Yeah, I was gonna say about halfway through the brake pedal, I didn't feel what I was expecting to feel.
Right. When the world starts turning, anybody can come and drive one. A few $100 gets you 5 laps in a C8, or we have a bigger program called the Corvette Experience where you get like an hour in the car, an hour classroom, VIP tour of the museum, lunch, whole 9 yards.
That's awesome. Yeah, anybody, I strongly recommend trying that because this is a wonderful experience. Our next part of the apology tour is up ahead. National Corvette. I have a feeling there's something really awesome waiting for us inside. We are inside of the National Corvette Museum. It's almost across the street from where the Corvettes are made in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and they're letting us inside just briefly. There's the whole social distancing thing always wreaks a little havoc, but this is a very exciting, unique opportunity to take a look at what's inside the museum. A lot of Corvette enthusiasts are a little troubled by the idea of having a rotary Corvette, but the real Corvette enthusiasts know that is actually a big part of the history of the vehicle.
We are not owned by General Motors, but we work very closely with them on a number of programs, events, borrowing some of their artifacts and vehicles. But one of the programs that we have in collaboration with them is museum delivery. So it's option code R8C. When you order a new Corvette through your local dealer, you can opt to have your car delivered to the museum, and you come pick it up here. We kicked off 2020, and we had several hundred people come through and take delivery of their cars. And we have some that are, just waiting until some of this passes to come get theirs, and then hopefully once production ramps up again, we'll have quite a few more.
Are these all customer cars waiting?
Yes, all of these are customer cars.
I made a video series with my C5 Corvette, and it was actually a delivery. It was a museum delivery.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's got the sticker in the door sill.
And this is our 25th year of delivering Corvettes here at the
Oh,
museum.
wow. Okay.
The 26th year of the museum being open. So you saw the little door jam sticker on your C5. Well, if you also were to put it up on a lift and look under it, the guys that clean up your car for you, they autograph the
no way.
I think the gas tank under there. We've been using this downtime to refresh our exhibit spaces, and really when we open up, we'll have a whole new, fresh look, great new exhibits for people to experience. But before we do that, we'll just pop in here real quick.
Oh.
So in this area, you can purchase the original build sheet that went down the line with your car, that told them the options that you were going to have in the car.
On my C5, the front crash bar, I saw a piece of paper.
Oh,
it looked
did you find that in
and
it?
I found it.
Yes.
It was it was like a treasure, like a
Yeah.
map. I found the build sheet for my car.
This actually tells the backstory of Corvette, so why they developed an American sports car, what led to Chevrolet coming up with the idea.
This has got my attention.
Yes.
Zora, because as I understand, Zora was very innovative, or at least a risk taker. Could you tell me more about him?
Yes, so Zora, actually after the 53 model was produced, he wrote a letter to, which we have a copy of the letter, he wrote a letter to General Motors that basically said, your car sucks. Not in so many words, but he said, if you're going to want this car to last a long time, then here are some suggestions of things that you need to do to make it a better sports car. He's really what helped them step up their game, drop a V8 in the car. I think you're lucky because we have a car I believe you're pretty interested in that just so happens to be out on display before we finish clearing this area.
Oh
out.
my God.
So we have the two-rotor car prototype. So we were able to acquire this last year with the help of Lone Star Corvette Club and Texas Corvette Association. It's a pretty amazing car and give you some inspiration for the project you're about to undertake.
Yes. Right there is, at this moment, the world's only rotary engine concept car Corvette. The four-rotor actually was taken out. That vehicle is up in Detroit somewhere. This one has the original two-rotor. Originally, the gentleman that had kept the car for a long time had put a Mazda two-rotor into it, but he took that back out and put the correct one in. So they, at the Corvette Museum, have a two-rotor Corvette. The real deal, the concept car is here for you to stare at. Oh my God, I'm gonna learn a little bit more about it now.
My name is Derek Moore. I'm the Director of Collections and Curator here at the museum.
Fill in the major knowledge gaps I have about this car.
Hey, not a problem. Yeah, so I'm sure you know this is the two-rotor Corvette, often referred to as XP987 GT. There were some other code names within GM for it, XR2. It moved all around. 1973, of course, the automotive industry is looking at new and creative ways to kind of look at different engines, powertrains, because of the gas crisis, everything that's going on in the 70s. And one of those was Mazda rotary engines, of course, the Wankel rotary engine. Mm-hmm. And GM actually got the rights licensed to build their own version of that, a GM rotary designed engine. And they started playing around with that, making a two-rotor and four-rotor version Corvettes. Four-rotor, of course, now famously known as Aerovette. Mm-hmm. This is an interesting car because they did not start from scratch. Pretty much all other mid-engine concepts are started more so from a scratch frame that they're actually building. This one's actually a Porsche 914-6 chassis that Zora shortened, modified, changed to house the rotary engine that they were building. Okay. So he modified the 914-6 chassis, put the GM rotary engine in the car, and Kip Wasinko was a designer at GM at the time. Kip did the overall design drawing of the car, but they did not body this car in-house either, like they did so many of the other cars. This was sent to Pininfarina in Italy, and they actually bodied the car in Italy. The car was unveiled at the '73 Frankfurt Auto Show. From there, it was met with some questions, some criticism. A two-rotor Corvette. What GM and a number of other companies really proved by doing rotary experimental cars was that rotary engines had issues, especially at that time, the early phases of the rotary engines. Wear was an issue, gas mileage was an issue. They weren't quite up to what the piston-driven internal combustion engines were at that time. So most of the companies scrapped the idea of using them, including Chevrolet and the Corvette division. This car, unlike the one that would become Aerovette and some of the other mid-engine concepts, this one actually made it onto the list to be crushed. Because it was bodied and finished in Italy, there were actually import taxes on getting the car back into the country, and then of course ongoing import taxes because the car was built outside of the U.S., technically,
Yes.
based on the federal regulations. Instead of bringing it back to the U.S., they decided to scrap it. They had to wait 10 years to scrap it. So it was slated to be scrapped in '83. Basically housed it in a warehouse in England. That's where it languished for years until Tom Falconer in England discovered that the car was still in existence. He wrote a letter to Chuck Jordan. Chuck Jordan happened to read it and agree that the car should be saved. So GM sold the car, made an agreement with Tom Falconer, sold him the car, but they did not give him the original GM engine, rotary engine that was in it. So it went to him with no engine. And from there, Tom fitted it with a Mazda 2-rotor. The car today still runs on the Mazda 2-rotor that Tom put in it, but I guess the engine has been moved. We had the engine, it was sitting right out here, it's probably back in the shop. We have an original GM rotary engine that we will be rebuilding and reuniting with the car in the future.
This one came before or after the Aerovet?
They were being built almost simultaneous.
That's okay. I was confused by that.
Yeah,
okay.
they both come out in '73.
Okay.
They're really working on this rotary program right at that time, '72, '73, and the two cars come out pretty close to each other.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then, were there earlier attempts on going with a mid-engine vehicle? Not necessarily a rotary engine, but in the Corvette history, were there mid-engine vehicles planned prior to this?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Zora started the drive for a mid-engine Corvette in the late 1950s. You probably are familiar with the SERV cars,
Yeah.
Chevrolet Engineering Research Vehicle.
Oh my God, okay.
That SERV 1 is the beginning of this whole drive to make
Did not know.
Corvette mid-engine. You have to remember, in 1954, Zora is essentially, although he doesn't hold the title, he is basically the chief engineer of Corvette. At the same time, he's taking a leave of absence from GM for 2 weeks to go to France and run a Porsche factory car at Le Mans and win the class. So he is used to driving Porsche mid-engine cars, understands what those European sports cars can do with mid-engine platforms, and that's what he's pushing Corvette to become.
And then, do you know where the Aerovet's at? Is that back up in Detroit?
Aerovet is at the GM Heritage
Yes.
Center. Yes. Yep.
And that one does not have the 4-rotor though.
Correct. They took the 4-rotor out and put the V8 engine in it. Interestingly enough, John DeLorean was involved in that project.
Wow. Okay. Did not know
Now,
that.
take a good look at the Aerovet, and then remember John DeLorean leaves and founds DeLorean Motorcars. So, take a good look at that car, and then look at a DeLorean. Gull-wing doors, mid-engine. There's a lot tied in there.
If this is cool, this is even cooler. Is this it? Yep. Well, there you go, guys. If everybody assumes that it was Mazda that made all the rotary engines, Mazda wasn't the first. It was Winkel, a German, who actually came up with a majority of the concept. But it was other companies that also got involved. If you look up Curtiss Wright, you see those memes, those huge rotors and rotary engines. This was actually General Motors' own design. You'll hear the Vega being mentioned a lot with this engine. What a piece of history. At least, most people that are going to come to the museum aren't going to really care, to be honest. This isn't an LS. This isn't a V8. But this is epic. What an amazing piece of history right there.
I was trying to see how big they are. I wanted to
Yeah.
kind of turn it.
You're right, though. It does look like a 10A, like in terms of the thickness.
Yeah.
Intake, compression, combustion, exhaust.
Some clay model. So here's your clay model of the C8. I mean, you can still smell the clay.
Wow. Yeah, just to put it in perspective of size. They turned a negative into a positive.
We created a full exhibit through here on the single. Of course, this is shut off right now. But this is the yellow dome you see from the interstate. We have a line on the floor, so this is where the cave is. We didn't know that this was built on a cave at the time. Didn't know till, surprise, there's a big hole in your floor. Why is there a hole in your floor? Oh, there's a cave there. And then the sinkhole, the red line, shows what collapsed. So everything within the red was the big hole that you probably saw in the security footage and the photos and all that. And then these are the 8 cars that fell into the sinkhole.
And some of the other ones didn't make it out.
Yeah, that'll buff out now.
1.5 million Corvettes had been created prior to this one.
Correct.
Wow.
So we're probably getting pretty close to the 2 millionth Corvette within the next few years, because that was in 2009. So you're talking.
I mean, honestly, the damage makes it look much older.
Yeah.
So 2009 was 1.5 million. Okay.
As well, the ZR1 Spider. This car originally, we do have this main hole that leads into one side of the cave, so we filled in the center portion, but we still have access, so we can go down there and make sure things are still good.
Is that how far?
And it even drops off deeper than that. So that's the base of the shaft, but then as you go towards the edge of the building, it drops off more to where if the collapse had been 10 feet closer to the edge of the building or 3 feet further into the center, then this would have fallen over, or the building would have collapsed. So we're really lucky that it happened where it did.
Fortunate. But when you recovered the cars, I mean, were they that far down?
Oh yeah. Yeah, 30 to 35 feet down.
I did not expect that this place would be this cool. I honestly thought it would more cater to just, what you think a stereotypical Corvette owner is. It's not. This is an actual museum. This is like interactive. There's a lot of really cool things here. I am so thankful that they took the time to show me this, because it's awareness. I didn't know that things like this exist for car enthusiasts. Well, I came here looking for approval, and I found way more than that. It was acceptance that the GM family isn't just about a traditional V8. They're not about just traditional things. They're always innovating, and that sounds like a commercial. It's not. I am so thankful for everything that everybody here has done, and the fact that they all embrace the weirdness. That is so awesome. What a wonderful day, and it really starts this project off right.